Welcome to my presentation on the challenges for technology leadership. This quote was mentioned in the article in regards to driving K-12 innovation and talks about how we need to use the technology and leadership to do two things: to foster meaningful relationships and create personalized learning paths. In these paths, the goal is to move each student forward in a way that will make them the most successful. The Consortium for School Networking has determined that these are the three biggest hurdles in educational technology. The first is attracting and retaining educators and IT professionals. The second is designing an effective digital ecosystem. And the third is digital equity. For the first challenge, I wasn't surprised to learn that 55% of educators are thinking about leaving their professions sooner than they originally planned, and 86% of those that were surveyed, said that they've known of an educator who left or retired in 2020. And I also know many educators that did the same. I think a lot of them are being asked more than what the job title tells that they should be doing. And once we went online, that so much can be done at home, and that teachers really end up just being on the clock 24/7, whether it's coming up with lesson plans, grading papers, etc. For the second year of the row, that this has been ranked as the number one hurdle affecting education systems. Pre-COVID versus post-COVID, there are a lot more open positions. In Colorado Educator Shortage Survey, they said that there was an increase from 880 open positions in 2018 to 2019 to now about 2,500 in 2021 to 2022. Comparing pre to post-COVID, more is expected of educators, but less is being given to them. They are being stretched to cover, especially the IT, to cover duties without additional resources to do a proper job. Frankly, some of the tips and recommendations from the advisory board bothered me quite a bit. I work comfortably in my preferred personal teaching position and recognize, but they said that making sure to create an environment where people are comfortable and recognized, and that it's not always about the money, is a quote from this article. You want to love what you do, but sometimes that isn't enough, and that being financially compensated is important. Attractive pay and benefits are definitely a plus, and they said that we need to review how we retain and hire about giving bonuses. And honestly, with certain districts, I find that that's unrealistic. You know, my school is very authentic in their recruiting and hiring process of what they expect of their teachers. So I'm not surprised by the tasks that I'm asked to do most of the time. But having flexibility in aligning compensation is a very big theme in their recommendations, and I just think that that's unrealistic if the district isn't being financially compensated. In order to design an effective digital ecosystem, there needs to be consistency in accessibility. It's got to be available to everyone, students, teachers, parents, etc., so that they can access what they need, that they have data privacy and ownership, and that there is digital literacy and digital citizenship. Now, everyone might have access to these things, but it doesn't mean that it's being used effectively or efficiently. Teachers need training in these skills to make sure that it's meeting the learning goals. A lot of the times, the technology requirements aren't matched to the learning goals, and it results in it being used ineffectively. Some schools introduce these systems without observing and listening to what the students need to be most successful. And it varies across school systems. Some schools are very limited in what they can use. And what can we do to fulfill those areas to make sure that everyone has what they need to be successful. Also, you have technologies that need to be interoperable with assistive technologies. I have a student last year whom, per his IEP, had to have everything typed out for him. He had to type things out versus writing them. And sometimes the speech to text technology just couldn't match up with his speech. So, making sure that we start with the end goal in mind. I wasn't surprised also to see digital equity on the list of hurdles that the consortium deemed as an issue. Home connectivity has to consistently be a priority for educators and policymakers. These gaps are widened by poverty, ethnicity, and geography. It is also more than access. It's about having the skills, having the programs, making sure students are being represented appropriately, and that these experiences aren't just being thrown at them, but that they're meaningful. And that's the cycle starts with the inequity in school funding. This is a huge impediment for schools, especially in lower income areas. Not only is digital equity a challenge, but there are challenges within this challenge, which talk about a variety of social issues, language barriers, trust in government, immigration fears. Our school just welcomed a Ukrainian refugee into our school that speaks no English. And we were very unprepared for this student's arrival because we found out shortly before school started. And her teacher gave her phone to a student so that they could text back and forth and it could be translated. But it's a huge challenge because we do not have what we need to make sure that this student is able to learn effectively, and it's an ever learning process. After grasping a understanding on the common hurdles within tech leadership, I took a look at my school and what are some of the common things that we use with technology. We are very thankful to have one to one devices for all of our students, K1 using iPads, and second through eighth grade using Chromebooks. Our staff is each provided with an HB laptop. Um, Programs are constantly being updated on those. We have view boards, which I like to call a giant iPad in the classroom, but it can also access the internet, has a whiteboard on it, and I can stream from my computer laptop straight to this view board, which can make teaching a lot easier some days. And we also have a projector system that we use during our assemblies, which we call all school, that happen. Now it's every other Friday, and people can take turns in helping out with the camera equipment that we have, running the slideshow, creating the scripts. We have the microphones and such things like that. Some of the challenges in recent years with our use of technology comes to the intercom system. Thankfully, this hasn't been an issue for me personally, but our intercom system can change between coming through the actual intercom versus the telephones in our classrooms. Now, it's possible to respond to somebody talking to the phone without you having to pick it up, which is definitely helpful in the classroom. But when it comes to end of the day dismissal, it can be very difficult to hear the bus announcements, which has resulted in my student almost missing his bus because we couldn't hear um, the buses coming through. So we are working on updating the system. The last two challenges, new staff and lack of training, kind of go hand in hand. I was a new staff member 2 years ago. I'm in my third year in my school, and I did not receive training on how to use any of the technology in my classroom or programming that I was expecting to use in my classroom. The lack of training makes it difficult to implement it effectively Now, we talked about digital equity and that it's not just about access, but about also using it effectively and efficiently. And lack of training can also connect to veteran staff because if they have never been trained and they are thrown this new tech and not taught how to use it, it's likely that it's going to become too much of a burden for them and they're going to decide that it's easier just not to use it at all. Now, there are plenty of opportunities in school to integrate technology into the classroom, and one of the most recent additions is with our math curriculum. We just adopted a new math curriculum this past year called Pearson, and we also adopted a new math fluency program through Explore Learning called Reflex. And we've also been using iReady for assessment and some reteaching, etc. And Pearson is excellent because it has a lot of technology, programming, review, quick check assessments online that students can engage with. The students get very excited when they see the video with the robot. It's just fun, it's interactive, and I can work alongside the technology, pause the video, have a turn and talk time with my students, and engage with them. One of the second major components of tech integration at our school is with research. It's one of the tenets in which our charter school was founded on. It's an open choice time. Obviously, with teacher approval, students will choose a topic that they are going to research, take notes on, create visuals on, and then later present on. Our library media teacher, these kind of go hand in hand, teaches our students how to use programs appropriately, how to be most efficient with researching for information and finding books, and how to paraphrase so that they're not copywriting the information. So, teaching them about paraphrasing and teaching them about copywriting. And also to kind of jump ahead to media as well, she teaches them how to type on the computer. So they have a typing program that they're involved with. They cover the keyboard. Brings me back to when I was in sixth grade when I had a cover on my keyboard and I had to learn how to type. And it's definitely helped me become a better educator, a better professional, a better adult just by knowing how to type. So I think this is an important skill that our library media teacher has done an excellent job at incorporating and integrating also digital citizenship and other tech integrations that she teaches them in the media class that they can later bring into the classroom. Two of the major challenges with tech integration is at home support. And this can look differently, and digital equity plays a part in this. We can't integrate it appropriately if students don't have internet access at home, if they don't have devices at home, even parent support. If the parents aren't there to help them because they're working and they've got an older relative at home watching them that has no experience with technology, it's going to make it very difficult for them to do this alone. And some students simply don't have the self motivation to either figure it out on their own or they see it as an excuse, be like, I couldn't get my work done because I couldn't access this. And so I do my best to make sure that everything that I offer them can be offered on paper and that there is an online option should they lose the paper, but that I make sure that everything is available in more than one place. Though this second point is improving, I still included it with tech integration challenges, which is the lack of training. This is improving, and I say that because I mentioned earlier about our integration of a new math curriculum and new fluency program, and we received significant training in the curriculum, and we received about an hour online training with the fluency program where we were able to ask questions to a professional that was proficient in the program. Now, where it's still improving is the investment during the training. Now, the districts and administration can provide as much training as they want to their teachers, but the teachers and the educators and the IT specialists need to be able to invest into this training. And if we still have questions after the training, that's okay. But to have questions because you're not invested in the training is a whole nother ballgame. After gaining an understanding about the consortium of school networking hurdles, looking at the tech use at my school and the challenges, and looking at the tech integration and challenges at my school, I came up with two goals that I have for my school that I hope I can be a part of the change, which is a yearly training. What the yearly training is for, I'm still working on, but something as simple as navigating Google Classroom. A lot of staff use Google Classroom for assignments and posting material for teachers, and we also use Parent Square as a communication. So, giving a training for new staff, new students, new parents in the appropriate tech programming. Maybe not offering a training, but simply a video where they can be like, hey, if you need to learn how to use this website, here is a video that can teach you some more. Also, at our IT committee, I have joined the IT committee for this school year due to my involvement in this program. And I'd like to take a look at effective use practices for technology integration and use in the classrooms, looking at teachers that aren't using it and why they're not using it, and teachers that are using it and if they are using it effectively or not. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this video.